Well, I'll bring up the slides and get started. And yeah, let's just do this. And if anyone joins, they do. Okay, so welcome to Nurses Unleashed. Reclaim your voice. This is all about how to be heard, set boundaries, and get the respect you deserve. And so this is for nurses who are tired of busting their asses and still feeling invisible. A little bit about me. I'm Sarah Bell. I'm an RN. I trained in the UK and I moved over to Texas in 2002. Since then, I did my MBA. Lord knows why. It taught me that I didn't belong in business. And I went on to become an International Coaches Federation coach. And this is my son, Jacob. He just graduated from high school, and so he's off to big school in August. My husband, who put the music on, and he's going to dance wherever he is with whoever happens to be standing around. He'll make them dance with him, and our little Chewini Charlie. And that's our little family. Everybody else is still over in the UK. So agreements for the workshop is I want this to be a safe and supportive space. There's no right answers, there's no wrong answers. Participate at your own level and take care of yourself at any time you feel you need to. So the this is all about intention. With intention, we can create different outcomes for ourselves, different realities. People often say that, but they don't really teach you how to do that, how to look at things differently. And that's what this is going to be about. So the key takeaways, wake up to the good girl operating system that so many of us operate by, moms, healthcare professionals. Then we're going to recognize the cost of the good girl operating system that prevents us from speaking up and asserting ourselves and getting us what we need. Then I'm going to share with you 7 levels of energy from the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching. And these 7 levels of energy help you understand how to shift your perspective so you can shift your power, speak up, ask for what you need, delegate more, whatever it is that you're holding back on, so you can choose more of yourself. And there's a story behind why I do this. So I built a successful career by being this good girl, always saying yes to any project that was asked of me, anything that was asked of me, never saying no to anything, proving myself through overworking, overdoing. I was getting all my bonuses, I was getting pay increases and all of that, but it all came from being this good girl. I'd stay silent to keep the peace, even when I felt something wasn't right. If nobody else was speaking up, then why would I be the one to rock the boat? So I would just stay silent, keep my mouth shut when really something needed to be said. And then one day, my 5-year-old came home, when I came home from work, asked me to play with him. And I was just too exhausted to play because I'd been so busy pleasing everybody in work. But it really cracked me open. And I realized that I'd been giving the best of myself to everyone but myself. And so I wanted to change and I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know what else I could do because I'd been a nurse educator with the same company by that time for over 20 years. And so, like, the thought of going back and starting again was kind of quite scary. I had good salary and things. So, what I did was I found myself a career coach. And that's when I discovered the power of coaching. And it was really amazing. For me, I was very lucky. I went to coaching school myself, got certified by IPEC, and became a leadership coach in the same company I was working for. And everything was going great, great. And I was really enjoying life and I had more time for myself. And then the company had a reorg in 2020 and they were taking that position away from me and they were offering me, should I say, telling me that there was a new position for me. And I didn't want it. And it was actually a position they'd offered me a year before, and I'd said, no, that's not a good fit for me. That's not what I want to do. And now this time around, they were telling me, and I was really frustrated. I felt like totally undervalued. I felt like through the coaching, I had made a big difference in so many nurses' like careers and lives during that. So I was frustrated, I felt undervalued, I felt unseen, and somewhat resentful. And I was very, very unhappy. But being a people pleaser, I didn't really know this was like, what do I do? My normal thing would have been to say yes. But for some reason, I just found it within me for this time to say no. I don't want that job. I'm not going to do that. They offered me another job that was equally as, I don't know, didn't want that one either. So I managed to negotiate what I wanted was an exit package, and I did, and it felt amazing. And I was like, where have I been all my life? Why have I just always taken what was given to me, accepted, and let somebody else be in control of my career? Like it's my life, my career, and I was just being this good girl and following the rules. And so that moment really set me on this path of reclaiming my voice. And now that's what I do. I help other nurses do the same. And it all starts with waking up to this good girl operating system. Like, what is driving like our subconscious behaviors? So, with that being said, like, I thought I'd start by explaining what I mean by operating system. These are our habitual patterns of behavior. 95% of what we do on a daily basis comes from our unconscious mind. We don't have to think about a lot of things that we're doing. We can do things at the like multitask because our subconscious mind knows what to do. It also knows how we react under certain circumstances, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. But these unconscious behaviors become our operating system. We do things without even thinking about it. So when it comes to the good girl operating system, if any of this resonates with you, it may not. Some may not, but we're it's all about being nice and quiet, helpful, not making any waves. We're taught that pleasing others is safer than speaking up. We want to keep everybody happy, and there's some element of fear of upsetting people. We're conditioned to avoid conflict, seek approval, and make everyone else comfortable. And this behavior is reinforced through praise, rewards, and fear of judgment or rejection. So, when we're being the good girl, everyone is like, oh, thank you. I can always rely on you. You're amazing. And I know I keep asking you, but you do such a great job. It kind of reinforces it. And then we get stuck in this. If I say no, what's going to happen? Because will they judge me as being lazy, or like will they reject me? And so we kind of reinforce it. And primarily it's driven by the belief that our value depends on how much we do for others. Our value depends on how much others value us, in other words, rather than that we just have value. So how this all starts is it's childhood conditioning. As a child, we want to stay safe, and we do this by pleasing others, by being, we don't want to get into trouble with our parents, so we do the things that they ask of us. So the behaviors we learned in childhood often become our habits because they help us feel safe, accepted, or loved. So what you were told for being a good girl and what you were told for being a bad girl starts to be reinforced. And when we're young, our brains are wired to seek approval and avoid conflict. So we repeat the actions that get us praise and avoid those that cause disapproval. And over time, these patterns get reinforced, not because they're healthy, but because they worked. That I know if I say please and thank you, I'm more likely to get what I want than if I just outright ask. Or if I take something without asking, I'm going to get into trouble. So I'll always ask. It's just reinforced behavior over the years. And the good news is we didn't choose it. We were conditioned into it. And this is just really our parents raising us and to be acceptable in the different societies. And that's great as a child. But at some point in our lives, we have to start thinking for ourselves. but these habits are now ingrained in us. But the good news is we can upgrade this operating system into something more powerful. So, as it's just you or I'll just ask you, Laura, where do you resonate with this good girl operating system? Where do you see it showing up? Think we had the same. And I described your career to a T. Well, yeah, so I think the nursing, the Google operating system primes us for nursing, right? We know taking care of other people. We're raised to like help grandma with the shopping, uh, clean the house, help mom. We're raised to be those carers and those helpers. And so, yes, and so then you had a similar kind of experience in your career, Laura, where you were allowing the organization to decide what your career was going to look like. It almost feels like being owned, always. Yes. I've just this year started learning to say no. Yay, not to be afraid. Yay. I was always rewarded for staying in line. Yes, yes, me too. And I was rewarded like well financially and things like that, but I just wasn't happy. Wasn't feeling fulfilled within myself. So that's what the Good Girl operating system is. But let's have a look at some of the costs and see if any of these resonate with you. And feel free to add any in the chat if you'd like to. So the costs of the Good Girl operating system. This is how I see it showing up in nursing today. However, there may be other things that you want to contribute. So please feel free to drop them in the chat. One thing is, and this has been something I've experienced, saying yes to unsafe patient loads. You don't want to disappoint your employer. They say that we've got to take the patients, but as a nurse, you know that this isn't safe and it's very stressful. But that's one of the costs that we take. Pleasing our employers over our licensing boards. Sometimes we're torn between the two. The employer is asking us to do something that we know the Board of Nursing would not approve, but the employer pays us, or the Board of Nursing gives us our license. And it's very stressful. We get put in this, who am I going to please? And so we typically go with the employer, but not always. Some people have been brave and gone out of the thing with that. Um, it leads for us avoiding conflict. And so what that can mean is I don't want to ask somebody else to do something. They're already busy. I don't want to upset them. I don't want to correct them. So we end up oftentimes carrying the load of other people's work because it's easier to do that in our mind than it is to address the situation. And then our work piles up on our desks because we don't want to create a problem. Over apologizing and shrinking ourselves and staying silent about burnout, feeling like, well, we should be stronger than this, we should be able to cope. And so we stay quiet, not realizing that we're going into burnout. And then my favorite, because I used to do this all the time, it would be out of my mouth before I could stop myself, volunteering for things that I didn't have the capacity for. Like they'd say, we need a volunteer for, and I would say, oh, I'll do it because I'm such a good girl, not thinking about everything else I was already doing. So, could I have done these things? Yeah, I had the skills, but I didn't have the time and I was still saying yes. So there's a lot of things. And then there are emotional costs. There's the resentment because if we're always the go-to person, the good girl, more and more people come to ask, and we feel like, why am I doing more than everybody else? Well, we're the easy ones because we say yes. And so that can lead to resentment. It can lead to guilt if we try and say no to things. Emotional exhaustion. We can start doubting ourselves. It can feel very lonely and we can become disconnected from ourselves because this is the emotional cost of always putting other people ahead of ourselves. I don't know if you have any others you wanted to add to that, Laura. Volunteering, especially when no one else speaks up. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Sitting there and like getting really uncomfortable because nobody is saying yes. And you're like, come on, guys, somebody volunteer. And in the end, and then fear, yeah. And then someone has to do it, right? And we always think, well, someone has to do it. It just as well be me without questioning, because the people who say no and don't take these things on, they don't feel bad about it. It's us, the good girls, that take on the extra responsibility. So yeah. All right. And so this is not sustainable. This way of life is not sustainable. And it's not your fault. But if you want something different, it's going to be your responsibility to change it. And so we just I just kind of asked you this question. Where does the good girl, what is it costing you? For me, it was costing me my social life, and it was costing me my emotional well-being. I was carrying a lot of resentment that I didn't know about it. Yeah, and some anxiety as well. It was costing me a lot. I don't know about you, Laura, if you have anything extra you wanted to add in that. You burned out and ended up taking a sabbatical. Oh, wow. Yeah. And I bet that felt good, taking that time out. But the burnout, it's awful. So, had a mental break and acted out of character, scared my family and terrified me. I am so sorry that you went through that. I have to say, I know of another nurse who went through something similar. I think this is where I was headed. And I managed to, like, well, I would say I was in this path and I was getting close to having that breakdown. My mind and body told me I was doing too much. Yes. Yeah, if we pay attention to what our body and our mind are telling us, um, they are giving us messages, but often as nurses, we have the ability to ignore all of that and suppress it, and then it just builds up inside us and gets worse.
Yeah, we often do it for way too long.
Yes.
We do
Wait.
it for way too long and then we end up in bad situations. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we become masters at suppressing all emotion. And there are times as nurses when we have to suppress emotions, depending on what we're doing in the clinical environment. But it shouldn't be for everything that's going on in our lives, and we shouldn't be constantly doing it. So the question is how comfortable are you saying no, setting boundaries, delegating, asking for help, whatever else it is that you know needs to be said or done by you? You need to speak up and you're not. How comfortable are you? A lot of people are not comfortable. There's fear, there's guilt, there's all kinds of reasons why people don't want to speak up. And it's hard to change because it's a survival habit. It's not a personality flaw. So it's something we learned, and our subconscious mind knows that it's going to keep us safe if we stay quiet. So when we want to speak up, we maybe want to set a boundary or delegate or something like that. We want to do it. We can't because as we go to do it, our subconscious mind reminds us that we're going to upset people. People are going to get angry with us. We're going to cause somebody else a problem, and that closes us down. So it's a survival. It's a survival habit. Your brain avoids discomfort and repeats what's familiar. It's what we learned, right? So it's that Google operating system that kept us so safe for so long as a child that our brain wants to keep us in that because it's our comfort zone and it's familiar and it knows it's safe for us. But we're not children anymore. And when we reach teenage and adulthood, we don't always get released from that system and encouraged to go out and change the world. It also saves mental energy to keep doing the same thing. Part of the responsibility of our brain is to conserve energy. So, doing the same thing from your subconscious, you're not using much energy. If you start having to think about doing something different, it takes energy. That's why going to class is often more exhausting for some of us than being working clinically on the floor because we're having to use our cognitive brain more. And we've been rewarded it for all our life. So if we've been rewarded for something all of our life and now we're going to do not do it anymore, what does that mean? I mean, it's scary, it's risky. It just feels too risky to stop. I know this will keep me safe. And I always say our comfort zones really are not that comfortable, but they're not comfort zones really, they're safety zones. We call them comfort zones. Um, and over time, it just all becomes your autopilot. So, have you ever driven to work and not remembered the journey? Because,
Yes, especially driving home. Sometimes I've driven home and not remember.
yeah, yeah, this is the same thing. It's your subconscious mind knows where you're going and how to get there. Now, if there was going to be construction one day and you were going to have to take a different route to work, you're likely to have to make a note of it, remind yourself, put a sticker on the steering wheel, whatever it is, because if you don't, your subconscious mind is going to take you the way you always go, and you start that route and you go, oh, shoot, I forgot there's construction. And so this is what it means by taking energy. If you want to change something, change the way you do something, you have to bring it into your conscious mind and consciously remind yourself you're going to do something different. So it can be hard. Growth can be uncomfortable, right? So we can keep doing the same thing we always do and stay in that safety zone. But if we want to do something different, we're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. It can feel awkward, but it's not wrong. So, for an example of that, if you just fold your arms in front of you like you normally would, okay, now shake them out. Oh, no, so notice which one's on top, I should say. Notice which one's on top when you do it. Then shake them out and then fold your arms and put the other one on top. What does that feel like? Yeah, it feels awkward. There's nothing
Weird.
wrong. Yeah, weird. There's nothing wrong with it, right? It's not dangerous. It's not going to hurt you, but it just feels awkward because you always do it this way. This is why change feels awkward. You're going to do something in a different way. So I talk about stretching the comfort zone being the new path to new results because I think sometimes we say get out of the comfort zone, but it can be too much and our subconscious mind is going to bring us back into safety. But if we grow that comfort zone a little bit by stretching it, we have more space to be comfortable. And so this is what I'm going to introduce you to. What is one small change that would perhaps stretch your comfort zone? Something little like maybe speaking up. Maybe there's something you want to speak up about, or something you need to delegate, or maybe somebody in your house needs to do their share a little bit more. I don't know. I have a teenager in my house, so that's um, anything come to mind for you? Think of something,
Yeah,
and
I have one of those teenagers at my or I have a young adult. So,
yes,
mhm.
yes. uh, Interesting times. And so, yeah, sometimes we need to ask more of them than what they've been used to doing. You know, as our family grows older, ask more of them. Maybe there's somebody in work that you feel could take on more responsibility. Or maybe you find yourself working late too often and you want to say no. Not being pushed into volunteering up when no one does. Yes, being able to firmly stand your ground when nobody else is volunteering so that you don't be the go-to person. Totally get it. So now we know what the Good Girl operating system is and what it's costing you. I want to introduce you to those 7 levels of energy from the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching. This is a roadmap to doing something different. And of course, you don't have to change unless you want to. This is not, but if you don't change and take responsibility, then you're going to continue down the same path. And so this is a roadmap to show you different ways of doing things. So if you're craving more space, more voice, and more you in your life, this is where it starts. No need for permission. It's time to make yourself a priority. This is a testimonial from one of my clients who worked with me through this process that I am about to share with you. And so I thought I'd just drop that in here so you can see that the difference it can make when you start utilizing these seven energy levels. If you, this is one of my favorite quotes. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that is the essence of everything I'm going to talk about now as we go forward. I first want to introduce you to two energy types, catabolic energy and anabolic energy. Catabolic energy is destructive. It's when we worry a lot, we get frustrated, we start blaming people. It's heavy. You know when you're around somebody. And we all have catabolic energy from time to time, and we all have anabolic energy. But we all can tell when we're in that environment, we're around somebody with catabolic energy, or if we feel it ourselves. Whereas anabolic energy is more constructive, it's more expansive, it's more fueling, it's more creative. They're people that you want to be around, they create results. And as I said, we all have these energy levels, those energies. And so this is how it shows up. This is the first introduction to the seven levels of energy. And this is how catabolic and anabolic energy, oops, shows up. Sorry. So level one is victimhood, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. But that is, oh, why are they always picking on me? Why are they making me do it? It's not my fault. 100% catabolic. You can't get the outcomes you're looking for when we feel like that. So it's almost impossible to speak up when you're feeling like a victim, like, well, they're not going to listen to me anyway. What's the point? Then level two is anger. And anger is 80% catabolic and 20% anabolic. And if you think about it, you can get more done when you're angry, but in the process, you might damage relationships. Like there's fallout usually from anger, but it can be useful sometimes and it can be necessary sometimes. So it is 20% anabolic, but in the main part, it's catabolic because it's destructive. And if we try and speak up from anger, usually people don't like what we're saying when they react negatively to us. Level three is the level of coping, which is 60% anabolic. So now we're getting more in the anabolic area. So this is well, I'm going to go into them in more detail, but coping. Level four, which a lot of nurses have, compassion, very anabolic. Level five, acceptance, very anabolic again. Level six is joy, 90% anabolic. And then level seven is 100% anabolic and it's absolute passion. And depending on what is going on every day in our lives, we go up and down these like an escalator. I could leave here to go grocery shopping and have a flat tire on my car. I would probably go straight to level one and go, oh. So I don't want you to think, oh my God, like when you learn this, everybody's like happy and absolute passion. No, it's understanding where we are in those energy levels and what we want to choose in the moment. And sometimes it's okay to stay in victimhood for a little while. Something bad happens, it's okay to be there, just knowing that you're just taking care of yourself in that moment, in that victimhood, and that you will need to get out of it at some point. So, where does the energy come from? Well, it's our thoughts create our feelings, create our energy, which leads to our actions and outcomes. So, whatever we're thinking in a moment is really, this is where we can change our thoughts and we can change our perception. And so, I'll go through each energy level to explain the different types of thoughts. Level one is like this victim, poor me, I lose. Why do I always have to be the one to work late? And so our feelings are like apathetic, like we're just like, pfft. And so anything we try and do is pretty lethargic. I'm not, why bother kind of attitude. Level two, the anger. This is conflict, and this is really about blame. It's your fault. You made the mistake. You're the one who should do this. You're the one who should fix it. Very finger pointing blame creates an feeling of anger, and our actions and results come from a place of defiance. Then we move up to level three, which is coping. This is where we take responsibility. This is where we say, well, it's up to me what I think about this situation and how I feel about it. So we have a lot of forgiveness at this level, level three. We can forgive other people, justify their actions, justify our own actions, just so that we can start cooperating and moving forward. And so that's why it's 60% anabolic, because now we're starting to move forward and get things done again, speaking up if we need to. Level four, compassion. This is all about concern for other people. So you can see why a lot of nurses and mums have this. I want you to be happy. I want you to be successful. How can I help you? A lot of compassion for this when you see people struggling, and so service oriented, wanting to help. None of the energy levels are good or bad, as I mentioned before, and compassion is extremely anabolic. I always put a word of caution here because it can trigger our catabolic energy, because all of this compassion is part of what pushes us to continue working. Somebody's got to take care of the patients. We can't leave the patients suffer. We can't leave that person work on their own. So that compassion leads us to overserve until we get exhausted, burned out, resentful, and frustrated, and then that'll trigger our level one and two energy. So here's my word of caution about that. Level five is acceptance. This is like reconciliation. Life gave me lemons. Let's make lemonade. We're short-staffed today. Okay, how can we make this a great shift anyway? How can we take great care of our patients anyway, even if we're short-staffed? We have our feelings here are around peace and our actions of acceptance. I accept what is so that I can move forward and create something new. A lot of successful leaders in the world have a lot of level five energy. Always can do kind of thought. Level six, the level of joy. This is synthesis. We're all in this together. Everyone always wins. Come on, guys. Like we've got this kind of energy, a lot of joy. But this is where our feelings are joyful, but our actions come from wisdom. This is where our intuition comes alive. Like we know, like sometimes your gut just knows it's going to be okay. Or your gut is telling you, and you make wise decisions and a lot of joy. And then level seven, absolute passion, non-judgment, absolute feeling absolutely passionate. So nothing's good or bad or right or wrong. It just is what it is. And this is where our creativity comes alive. This is where we can create something out of nothing. This is where people say they're in the flow or they were in the zone. They didn't know how long they'd been working on something, but they created something amazing. So those are the seven energy levels. So how do we use them in order to create what we want? And so I'm going to introduce you to Michelle, a compassionate, highly capable charge nurse who takes pride in supporting her team. She's the one everyone goes to for help, and she always says yes. But behind the scenes, Michelle is exhausted. She stays late every shift trying to finish her own documentation because she spent the entire day helping others with their work. And so her to-do list grows, her stress rises, and her resentment simmers. Michelle knows she should set boundaries, but every time she tries, guilt creeps in. She thinks, oh, but they need my help. Or if I don't help them, what if they think I'm lazy? Or it's just quicker and easier if I do it myself rather than trying to get somebody else to do it. And so I want to show you how Michelle would think at each of the energy levels so you can see the shift perspective from one, two, three, four, up to seven if she changes the way she looks at the situation. So here at level one, poor Michelle is thinking, oh, if I, they'll think I'm lazy if I don't help them. So she starts worrying and fear about how other people will perceive her if she doesn't help them. So it brings her down into a catabolic energy. So she doesn't do anything about it. She, you shouldn't say doesn't do, she doesn't do anything different. She continues doing what she's doing because of the fear of people thinking she's lazy. However, if she, oh, I clicked on. However, if she asked herself, well, what do I want? Rather than, oh, they'll think I'm lazy and she's fearful and she's worried. If she asked herself, what do I want? It could bring her to level two. And level two, a thought could be, well, it's their fault that I'm always working late. They're not doing their work. It's their fault. I'm doing all of this stuff. It's their fault. So she starts to feel resentful. And with that resentment, she goes in the office, slams the door shut, and refuses to help anybody because she's so frustrated and she's so angry. She's just going to shut herself out. That's level two energy. But if she stopped to ask herself, it's their fault that I'm always working late. If she stopped and asked herself, how true is that, that it really is their fault? She's starting to think about taking responsibility, which would bring her up to level three. And here, a level three kind of thought in this situation of setting boundaries would be they are busy, but so am I. So she starts to feel a little bit of relief that it's not all her and it's not all them. So she thinks about what she could do and she decides, you know what? I'll tell them when I can be available to help them so that I can put a boundary, start putting a boundary around my time. And oops, I've clicked the wrong way again. And so but if she had a thought of how can I help, that would bring her up to level four. And four thought could be, I want the team to feel seen and valued. And so she starts feeling very caring and compassionate towards her team. So she upholds her time boundary by keeping herself in her office when she needs to, but she shows immense gratitude and appreciation to the staff for doing the work out there on the floor and allowing her the time to do hers. And then she could ask herself, how can I use the time that I'm now creating to help support my staff more? How can I make this beneficial to them? And then she thought, well, I have all the employee reviews to do, and I'm sure they'd like me to get their reviews done. So she's feeling very positive about that. While she's in the office, she completes the employee reviews ahead of time because now the staff are out on the floor and they're all happy and they're working. But she could think, how can I share the importance of boundaries with my team? And that could bring her to level six, that we're all in this together, right? The self-care is important. We all need to learn self-care. We all need to learn how to set boundaries. She's feeling extremely joyful with the thought of this. And so she makes sure everyone learns how to set boundaries. She talks about it openly in staff meetings. She creates an environment where everybody is comfortable establishing boundaries. And then she can think, well, how can I make this even more fun and get to level seven? Well, there is nothing at level seven. It's just like, we're here, let's do this. We're extremely passionate about what we're doing. And this leads to an action that creates an environment in which everyone wants to play. So everybody wants to work with Michelle because she's created this 100% anabolic environment. So, any questions about the seven levels before? Here's a little story about, now I didn't know about the seven levels of energy when this happened, but I resonated with it after I learned about them. I was a nurse's aide for many years, I think 5 years before I went to nursing school, and every year I worked Christmas. I loved working Christmas as a nurse's aide. The environment was fun. We made it all festive and everything for the patients. And so Christmas morning was my shift. I loved it. But then I went to nursing school, and after nursing school, I was living in a house with other nurses, and I wanted to spend my Christmas morning for the first time not working, but with my friends. And then I was told they're short-staffed on a ward, on a floor, which wasn't even my floor, and that I needed to be the one to go and work that morning. Well, my first response was anger. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It's not even the floor that I work on. This is the first Christmas I've ever had off. And so I went to the nursing officer and I argued with her and like I was frustrated and she was having none of it. No, you are going to work. So then I went to level one and I felt totally hopeless. Well, I don't have a choice. I have to work. And then that night, before I went to work the next day, I started to think about, well, you used to work Christmas all the time and you know how to make Christmas fun for the patients and you know how to make it fun for your peers. So you have a choice. This is what I said to myself, I have a choice. I can go in and be miserable, or I can go in and do what I know how to do and make Christmas Day fun. And I went in and we had the best morning ever, of course, because when somebody comes in and they decide to make it fun, everybody starts to enjoy it. The nursing officer came round because she thought I would have called in to check to see if I was there. And she was so pleased with what she saw. She came back with a box of chocolates for me and to show her appreciation. Now, if I'd stayed angry or hopeless, I would have brought the whole unit down with me. And instead, I made that choice. So that can be the power of the energy levels. A quick check-in. Where do you see the energy levels for you? Where do you see your catabolic energy show up? Staff meetings. That's a great one. Yeah, staff meetings. Um, can you elaborate a little bit more? Because I don't want to put I have my own catabolic energy around staff meetings. What's behind yours? Division of labor making me feel like I'm not doing enough. Isn't it? Staff meetings can be so catabolic. They can be so focused on what everybody's not getting right, what's not good enough, instead of focusing on first celebrating what is good enough, thanking people who have gone the extra mile and show appreciation, and then looking at something that can be done better. But no, if you're clinical, 9 times out of 10, if there's especially if it's a mandatory meeting, whew, something's about to hit the fan. And yeah, my catabolic energy, yeah, that would trigger mine too. I was thinking of it in the other way, and the other type of meeting where you're sitting there and you're wondering, why am I even here? I've got things I could be doing. Now I have to sit here and listen to all this. That would trigger mine. Where does your anabolic energy show up? Oh, you made another comment there. Actually, yeah, doing enough. It's just different from everyone else's. Yes. Yeah. So if you have a different role to everyone else, yes, or you're contributing in a different way. So where does your anabolic energy show up? Yes. Yeah, and it really doesn't take much, right? Get recognized for the good work. Yeah, like, yes, that can absolutely trigger anabolic energy. And like doing something I love doing, like I love doing this. So this like triggers my anabolic energy. When I produce quality work, yes. And when you've got the time and you've got the resources to do that, when I'm working on something I'm passionate about, yeah, all of those things create our anabolic energy. It shows up. Cool. So now we know what the Google operating system is, what it's costing, and I've introduced you to the 7 levels of energy. Now I'd like to show you how you can shift your perspective using those energy and raise your ARL. And your ARL is your average resonating level of energy. So here, 3 things, 3 steps to shift in your energy. First is awareness, like being aware of how you're showing up in the moment. Number 2, acceptance, accepting that this is how you are and this is what's happening to you in the moment. And step 3, conscious choice, consciously choosing to look at it from a different perspective so that you can create a different energy for yourself. So, awareness is what am I feeling right now? So, if you're going to one of those staff meetings, or me, when I had to work Christmas, I was feeling downright angry. If you have to go to one of those catabolic staff meetings, Probably feeling, I don't know, what would be the feeling that would go to having to go to one of those meetings? And what is the story you're telling yourself? If I'm going to one of those meetings, I'm feeling like moody, I guess. And I'm telling myself, now what? Now what have we done? Now what are we in trouble for? Is the story I'm telling myself. And I probably feel um, defensive, apprehensive. Yes, yeah, apprehensive because we don't know what's happening. Our mind is telling us something not good is about to happen, and that's where we're going. Okay, okay, no problem. Okay,
Thank
and
you so
so
much. This is a really great presentation. I hope that you have an opportunity to share this with others. This is really great information.
I will do, Laura, and I will send you the recording afterwards, so you'll get the other
Yes, yes, please
content.
do.
Yes, I will. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
And so then awareness, like what am I feeling right now? So as Laura was saying with those staff meetings, that yeah, I am aware that I'm feeling apprehensive, and the story I'm telling myself is what's going to happen? Why are we having a meeting? Usually something bad happens. Then we get to acceptance. So we have to accept that we have to accept this is what is going on with me and not focus on other people, but what is going on with me and which energy level am I experiencing? And so for me, and I think probably for Laura too, for me, defensiveness. So that would be level one, maybe a little bit of level two. Like I'm going to defend myself, not my fault, right? I'm going to defend myself from whatever is coming our way in those meetings. And then with that acceptance, when I think about, yeah, I'm at level one or level two, I can make a conscious choice to choose a different energy level. So with that conscious choice, I could look at this and I could say, well, level three, coping. Well, I could say, well, I can see why they might be mad about something. There's been a lot of tardies lately, so I can see why they might be mad. And so um, I will show up to the meeting and I will be supportive. That would be level three energy. Level four could be, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for them. They're always trying to fix this problem. And I'll go and see if there's any way I can help. And so as you can see, you can look at the same situation through different perspective and create different energy levels. Um, okay. So I mentioned the average resonating level of energy. The more aware we become, the more choices we have, and the higher our ARL. The average of all of your energy levels under normal circumstances and under stress. So the higher your average resonating level of energy, the more peace, confidence, and choice you have in life. And those who have an average resonating level of energy of 4.5 and above have greater level of success in leadership and in life. So this is an opportunity for you to practice shifted your perspective. It's not a one and done kind of thing. Oh, here's my new thought. Yes, that might work for you in the moment, but the idea is you learn this as a habit of choosing how you want to show up in every different moment. And it's perfectly okay to choose level one, level two. Sometimes anger to me is like a very important emotion because when we feel angry, we're feeling under threat. Something is not right and it needs to be addressed. So we might not want to address it out of pure reactive anger, but we might use level two forceful energy to protect our boundaries. So shifting isn't about perfection, it's about repeating the shift until it sticks and keep practicing on different energy levels. You see, life is full of its ups and downs, but how we respond to it is up to us. Here's another testimonial from another a client of mine. It's been an amazing journey to coach with Sarah. She has assisted me to understand things about myself I could never have known on my own. I've been able to set goals and achieve extraordinary results as a result of the coaching process in both areas of my life. It helps you to get unstuck from the same experiencing the same stressful situations over and again. So now you know what the Good Girl operating system is. You know what it's costing you and why it's so hard to change. You've been introduced to the 7 levels of energy, and you know how you can shift your perspective and raise your ARL. But now it's time. So now it's time for you to start choosing you. So we're going to start with a guided visualization. So get yourself comfortable. Take a couple of deep, deep breaths. Take a deep breath in. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Gently exhale. Let your shoulders drop. Let your body soften. Let the noise of the day fade. Now, imagine yourself standing tall, feeling grounded, calm, and clear. You're not just a nurse, you're a skilled, powerful professional. You have a voice, and today you're choosing it. Picture a moment where you once held back. Maybe you stayed silent, said yes when you meant no, or minimized your needs. Now gently rewrite that moment. See yourself pausing. Notice what you're feeling. Name it. Trust it. You breathe deeply and speak clearly, kindly, and confidently. You say what's true for you, and you're heard. You watch the energy around you shift. Your shoulders relax, your jaw softens, and you are no longer holding it all in. In this moment, you are the leader of your own life. You set boundaries without guilt. You ask for what you need. You advocate for yourself with compassion and courage. Breathe into that feeling of being seen, heard, and respected. Let it settle into your bones because this is who you're becoming, and she's already inside you. Now, take one more breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, carrying this energy with you. Okay, what shifted for you during that short meditation? What came up that was new? Yeah. So, when it comes to choosing you, start from where you are. What would it be like to feel like that more often, like you did during that meditation? When you know what thoughts are creating your energy, you can upgrade them. Know your energy under normal circumstances and know what happens to your energy under stress and know your average resonating level of energy. How? Well, here I want to share with you an amazing tool, the Energetic Leadership Index Assessment. This is a powerful tool for personal awareness and leadership growth. So on the top of the chart here, you can see this is somebody's actual assessment. On the top of the chart here, you can see this is their energetic profile under normal circumstances. Yes, this is a nurse, and her primary energy level is not surprising, is level 4, but her secondary energy level is 1. And this is what can happen to a lot of compassionate people. They can take on too much and they can start to feel the burden of that extra weight, and all the guilt of not being able to say no can bring down level, can create level 1. Now this one here is the stress reaction. So this is what happens under stress. So I don't know, somebody calls in and you're extremely short staffed, oops, and you're in charge, then This person went to immediately goes to level one. Now, it doesn't mean they stay at level one all the time. You just might go, oh my gosh, that would be their what we call their default, where they go immediately. They might only stay there for a couple of minutes and then they might start to get a little bit angry and then maybe start coping and justifying. But their immediate stress reaction is level one. This person's average resonating level of energy is 2.89, and believe it or not, that is above average. But really, to create more peace, joy, and success in your life, you need that average resonating level of energy to be above 4.5. All right. This is a testimonial. I did a group of people on a team, and this is what their leader said. Paid dividends, not only for myself, but also for the performance of the organization and its employees. I've been fortunate to participate in one-on-one and group sessions and leadership seminars and team coaching sessions, which has provided her with lots of resources. So yeah, the whole team stepped up. So that was really it for today. And number one, we did number one, step number one, woke up to the Google operating system. Number two, recognize the cost. Number three, introducing the 7 levels of energy. Number four, shift your perspective to shift your power. And number five, choose more of yourself. If for any reason you would like to take the Energy Leadership Index assessment and do a debrief with me where I go through your results with you, I normally charge $360 for that. But for anybody who's attended this masterclass today, you can get that for 160. And let me put that in the chat for you. Put the link in the chat. Let me see. Well, I'm not doing a very good job of that. Hold on. And all right. Okay. Well, I'll come back and put that in a minute. All right. So that is it for today. If you have any questions, trying to get my presentation back. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Something new in Zoom. Yeah, so yeah, for that $160, you'll get the assessment and a one-on-one debrief with me where I'll help you understand what are the thoughts and feelings behind your catabolic energy and a little bit of a game plan for you to start choosing different thoughts that make sense to you so that you can raise your energy level. And so thank you very much for listening today. If there's any questions, why won't my slides move? Okay, there we go. Any questions? Please feel free to email them to me. And your next steps, thank you for joining me, of course. Whatever you do, whether you decide to take the assessment or not, pay attention to your energy. If you want the assessment and debrief, I'll be sending you an email afterwards as well with the link, so you'll have that. You are worth the energy it takes to choose you. You don't need permission to take up space. So let's start raising those energy levels, speaking up, and getting what we need. Thanks again.